whatever you visualize is just automatically attracted into your life, yes? Well, no. There is imagination, what happens in your mind, but there is also knowledge, your imagination applied in the real world. But we kind of tend to skip over that because, it involves that nasty four-letter word, work. One of the first times I put visualization to use and actually, was doing something with it was in 2010. I was headed to a conference called Author101, and my goal was to get as much from each presentation as possible. I wanted to be very well prepared. So I did a lot of studying previous presentations, and I did a lot of visualizing. What am I going to do? Where am I going to sit? How am I going to take notes? And it worked out really well, but there were a couple of hiccups. If there weren't, this would probably be the absolute shortest video I ever did. So let me back up. I will forewarn you, this is 3 pages, so I'm a little unsure how long it will be, but I'll endeavor to keep it short. What I want to do is back up so you can see where I was in my development as an author. And let me walk through what I did. So June of 2007, I retire from construction. Had enough. At that point, I'm 40 years of age, looking around a construction site and seeing I am the youngest tradesperson on site. And there were other guys there, carpenters, who were 70 years of age. And there was one guy 72 years of age. So I just, you know what? I don't need to abuse my body like this for another 30 years. October of 2007, I go to a conference in Delray Beach with American writers and artists. And this is where I discover something I had been doing for years as a mode of relaxation is actually a paid career. And I'm even more chagrined because I grew up watching a television show called Bewitched, which is all about, obviously about the wife, I forget her name, but she's a witch and her whole family are witches and warlocks. But her husband, Darren, is a copywriter. So clearly I had the knowledge and just never connected that doing it is a way to make money. So anyway, December 31st, 2007, I get an answer back from Bob Bly. You see, at the conference in October, Bob had put out a call for people to do writing for him, and specifically to write books. He also gave some advice that people tend to respond to these calls by everybody just jumping on board. And if you want to stand out, what you need to do is wait a couple of weeks and then respond. Well, I wasn't all that keen on writing books anyway, so I waited about 3 weeks, responded, and Bob said, well, I've given out all the assignments. I said, that's fine. What I'm doing is following your advice so that I stand out, and what I'm going to do is continue to follow up with you until you have something for me to write. Cool. Well, on the 31st of December, 2007, Bob reaches out asking me to write a book for him. It's the first book I've written, and it became an international bestseller. Yay! Then January 2008 to March 2009, I write 4 more books with Bob, and Bob edited each of the books and was the publisher. Then in March through June of 2009, I wrote my 5th book, The Ultimate Marketing Sin, and I'm looking up there because book covers are hanging on the wall, and published it on my own. The purpose of this book, The Ultimate Marketing Sin, is that it is a lead generator. It explains what the ultimate marketing sin is, how to overcome it, and be more successful by overcoming it. And no, I'm not going to tell you what it is. July 2009 to April 2010, I write what turns out to be my second international bestseller and my sixth book. And this is a study in so many things that went well and things that could have been done better. The title is Friends, and I'm looking over there because the two bestsellers are mounted on that wall. The title is Friends, Followers, and Customer Evangelists, the 2010 Business Owner's Guide to Social Media. And wow, just in that title alone, there are so many things to to correct. So, at any rate, that book, okay, my sixth, is published with a publishing house, and they host Author101. At the time, I'm in Chicago, and this conference is happening in Los Angeles. They provide a free ticket to it, and off I go. I'm going to attend the conference and see how much I can get done. I guess I should also insert here that at the time, and I didn't write down when the conference actually went, but I think it was September. And in November of 2009, while I was in the US, I got married to a widow with 3 children. So I went from being a single author living in Toronto, the third largest city in North America. Actually, at that time, in 2009, Toronto was shifting between the 4th and 5th largest. It was sort of in competition with Chicago. Now, Toronto is the 3rd largest city in North America. At any rate, the point is, I clearly had a lot on my plate. So I go to the conference. I deliberately planned to arrive a day early so that I could continue to visualize, continue to make preparations, and network, socialize with anybody who is already there from the conference. I also planned to stay one extra day to digest what I had taken in throughout the conference. And again, my goal is to get as much as possible. Now listen to this. My goal is to get as much as possible from each presentation. Can you already see how I'm limiting myself? Because I did. Here's a really simple example of turning imagination into knowledge. I go to this conference, my visualization, my imagining, starts about 2 weeks before the event. I'm reading materials from the presenters, I'm listening to previous presentations, I'm preparing questions for the presenters based on what they presented before, anticipating that their presentation is going to be different. But the thing to notice is I only focused on the presenters and their presentations. It never even occurred to me that there would be any sort of exhibitors area at the conference, and there was. Why didn't it occur to me? I just didn't pay attention. I was so focused on getting value from the presenters that in reading the material for Author101, I ignored the fact that there were going to be exhibitors. I even ignored the fact that there would be other attendees and that there would be socializing throughout. I had the idea to socialize the day before the event, but I had no plans for socializing or networking throughout the event. I didn't even bring business cards. Now here's a quick list of things that I think I could have done better or gotten better results had I done these things. So one is one of the presenters, his name is Alex Carroll, and his radio publicity program is what he presented, and how to get interviews on radio. Now think about this. All I did was prepare for how to take notes on what he was presenting. I had a few questions, but again, it never occurred, and this happened for every presenter. There was time after each presentation to network among other attendees and to speak with the presenters. I took advantage of none of that. Another one, Laura Langmeyer, great lady, her program, being able to network with her and her staff. And something that occurred to me after the event, and so it is an improvement that I've made. When there are people I see they're going to be at an event, what I do is, do all the background research about that person. But if I think that there is a reason to connect, I reach out to them in advance of the event, and I will invite them to dinner, to lunch, or can we carry on a conversation afterward? If we meet, we click, it looks like there's some synergy there, can I carry on a conversation afterward? Another one, there are two more. Rick Frischman, who was the host of Author 101. And there were all kinds of opportunities to chat with him and network, partly because I had dinner with him there. And I just talked about nothing, instead of using it as an opportunity to, do anything. And then the last one was David Hancock, my publisher. I was with him the entire event, and with his staff throughout the entire event, and I just socialized. I completely ignored the opportunity to network, even to some extent. And I say to some extent because there were plenty of people who chatted with him, and so I heard a lot of conversations, and I certainly learned a lot. But I never started any of those conversations. So you can see the first time that I'm doing the visualization, whoa, I kind of fell short. And this is just 4 examples. This was a 3-day event. Believe me, there were a bunch more areas where I fell short. And what I'm getting at here is that when you are visualizing, and I've mentioned this before, specifically about Jack Canfield, when he advises people to write affirmations, he says, okay, outline what it is that you want and include the phrase, or something better. Which makes good sense. And I did a good job of translating the preparation that I did into results. But the truth is, I did a poor job of preparing because I allowed myself to get tunnel vision. I ignored exploring any of the other opportunities that were there. And so even while I was at the event, I was noticing, wow, I'm actually really poorly prepared to take advantage of things other than the presentations. And hey, it's a learning process. You do, then you assess, and you go, okay, here are the places where I can do better next time. Here are some ways that I can maybe make up for some of the shortfalls. Because, okay, the event is done, but I do still have the ability to reach out to people and say, after the event, can we connect? So I, did all of those, and what I want to do now is use the rest of this to just look at a current example so we can see improvements that I've made. An important point to remember, really important, is that rather than being some mysterious magical process, I visualize a thing and it just automatically comes into my life. Achieving your goals is a process of doing the work to translate what you imagine into knowledge. This is why Albert Einstein, a hugely famous quote from him, is that imagination is more important than knowledge. Because when you imagine, you're imagining, how can I do something better? How can I do something differently? What is a problem that I can solve for someone? And then you translate that into knowledge. So imagination pushes you forward, and then knowledge builds up a foundation and a support for everything that you have imagined. For me, the obvious example is weight loss. I was 354 pounds at my heaviest, and I have dropped to 250 pounds at my last doctor's visit. And at the time of recording, this is October, at the time of recording, that doctor's visit was at the end of August. So it's 6-7 weeks since my last doctor's appointment. And I have lost more weight since. Not, like 50 pounds or anything, but I've lost more weight since. And I check in with my doctor about every 6 months to do blood work and to find out what I weigh, to make sure that I'm going in the direction I want to go. And I can tell you, it is important to have specifics in mind. You want to be precise. I did an episode recently about sincerity, congruence, and precision as the 3 keys to success and the roles they play in helping you achieve your goals. Well, precision is important. The thing to remember is precision is progressive. When you first start, like when I first started losing weight, it was just, wow, I need to get this weight off. I think my first goal, real goal, was I want to get below 200 pounds. Okay. But in terms of precision, that's saying where I want to go, kind of. But it required a little bit of learning, a little bit of practice to recognize, wait a second. I want to know how much weight am I going to shed. So I picked a number, 195 pounds, from 254, so that's 159 pounds that I want to get rid of. Now I'm getting a much more precise goal. With the precision and incorporating the idea of or something better, what I visualize now is my ideal weight. I am less concerned about the number, and I am more concerned with, how do my clothes fit? How do I look? Do I have a flatter belly? Because right now, even at 354 pounds, my shape was circle. Okay, I was just round everywhere. So now what I want to do, and what I visualize, is me with a flat stomach. Okay, shedding all the fat and having a flat stomach. A stomach where you can see the muscles in my abdomen. Not, the muscle builder, bodybuilder, six-pack kind of thing. If you have ever seen any videos from Eddie Hall, who is a very large man, when he flexes, you can see his abdominal muscles. That's the kind of thing that I'm talking about. Now, a bit of a side point that I want to make, and I have it noted here. So, something I have done in the process of shedding the weight is taking the clothes that I have that are now far and away too large and giving them away. Not that I wish anybody else be fat, but I'm getting this stuff out of my closet. And it serves several purposes, but 2 in particular. The first is it is a celebration that I have shed the weight, and I am never going back to being that heavy. So there's no need to keep the clothes. It's a celebration, getting rid of them is a celebration. The other part is it's making room in my closet for the new clothes I am going to require when I get to my ideal weight. And I'll tell you the truth, this is something I could talk about for hours. The idea of celebrating your successes and making room for the goal you want to achieve, the success you want to have. Because this channel is called Cranium Ex Rectum, I want to wrap up with another example that, is probably a little bit less obvious because I talk about it less. But I want to use it because it's an example of recovery, but also an example of facing the reality that was in front of me instead of what I wish were in front of me. And I'm going to stick pretty close to the script on this because it's personal, and I've discovered that when it is personal, it's really easy for me to, squirrel, go off on a tangent. So I'm going to, my script is here. I'm going to kind of stick pretty closely to it. So here it is. If you've seen any of my other videos, you know that in 2012, I went through a divorce. So we were married in 2009, and in 2012, my wife decided she wanted a divorce. And I've already said in this video, when I got married, I went from being a single author living in Toronto to being a married author with 3 teenage kids living in a rural town of 12,000 people. It was quite a culture shock. And then when my wife chose divorce, she ripped away that family, leaving me single in a foreign country. And it was almost a year before I was able to return to Canada from the United States. And to say that it flipped my world upside down, that my life was torn apart, these are, it's all just putting a positive spin on an incredibly negative situation. Well, now it is 10 years and 2 months. Yes, 10 years and 2 months. Wow, almost exactly. Today is the 24th of October, so it's 10 years, 2 months, and 11 days. I just realized that. Since I have returned home. And that time has been invested in making me a better, emotionally stronger man. It would be wrong to say more resilient, because I think I've already demonstrated incredible resilience throughout my life, since being a kid. I'm unsure what more resilient would even look like. Also, the past 2 years have included rebuilding what is my business. Most of my time was invested just in research and learning and being a better person. So in the last 2 years, I have published the first volume in the Getting Happy series. I lost my train of thought. And I'm working on the first guide in the series. Just quickly, I've probably explained this before. The Getting Happy series is inspired by Jack and the Chicken Soup for the Soul series. The difference is, each book in the Getting Happy series, just like Chicken Soup, each book in the Chicken Soup series is aimed at a particular audience. So each book in the Getting Happy series deals with a particular life event. Getting divorced, a parent dying, having an empty nest, starting your first job, whatever life event there is. And with each book goes a guide. So when you read the book, the purpose of the book is inspiration and motivation. Yay! But I think we have also been inspired and motivated up the hoop to the point where we don't know how to get things done anymore. So, with each book goes a guide for people who want to make some practical progress and say, you know what, I'd like a guide to help me do that. There you go, that's the series. Now, with respect to the series and building a business, there is the need to build a team. There's a lot of attention given to the whole idea of the lone wolf and succeeding on your own, stand on your own 2 feet. Okay, no one does that. Even Dan Kennedy, who very, very rarely acknowledges the team around him, has built his business with a team around him. The team became much larger, around, say, 2009, 2010. But Dan has always had a team. It was small, it was only 3 or 4 people, but he has always had a team. And even more so, you can look at his horses. He owns both standardbred and thoroughbred racehorses. There is an entire team of people that look after caring for the horses as well as training the horses and then racing the horses. So everybody has a team. And for me, in terms of building a team, if you've seen other videos, you know I'm already working with Lee, Ever More Success. I'm already working with Stephanie Oden. I've already had lots of conversations with Linda Kane at Blue Diamond Events. And by the way, if you want to know how to contact any of these people, let me know. Put it in the comments. Happy to share their contact information. They are very good people. Each of them knows what I want them to do and how I am thinking they should be compensated. For my part, I visualize what it is to pass issues onto, for example, Lee's team. Because Lee's team is going to look after all the tech side of stuff. I see the websites up and running. I see them with landing pages. The integrations are in place. So, an example is this YouTube channel. Eventually, I want to put into place t-shirts with quotes on them that people can order in support of the channel. And Lee will handle the integration of when somebody places an order, what does the shopping cart do, how is the message sent to the fulfillment house, how many orders need to be in place before the fulfillment house is contacted, all those kinds of things. I also see this channel with 1 million subscribers and people who are reaching out to work with me because of that. Now, sharing everything that I am visualizing is really not practical. One, there's just way too much being planned. And to be honest, it's unwise to share everything publicly. If you've ever, for example, watched The Godfather, one of the things that Marlon Brando, as the Godfather, advocates is keeping your plans to yourself. You don't tell other people what you're thinking. There's actually one scene where he remonstrates with, his name just, Sonny. He remonstrates with Sonny and tells him, never tell anybody else what it is you're thinking. Actually, I think he says never tell anybody outside the family what it is that you're thinking. And this all might sound contrary to the idea of, and even I will tell you, that when you set a goal, you want to make a public declaration about that goal. Okay, yeah, but there are some differences. So, for example, that I want to lose, at 250 pounds, I think I want to lose another 55. So I'm quite comfortable with saying that as publicly as I can. On the other hand, things about my business and the workings of it, a lot of those I don't tell anyone. And when I do tell someone, it's Stephanie or it's Lee. Okay, it's just 1 or 2 people. People that I know are going to support me in what I'm doing, and they will also hold me accountable. But there is lots about my business that I would never just publicly announce, to the world. Now, the last thing I have written in the script is if you want help with visualizing and how to do it, how to develop it, by all means reach out to me. My email is in the description below. It's the last thing in the description. So you can look at the description and scroll all the way to the bottom, and it's the last thing listed. I am open to doing some mentoring if we have a fit. So let me be honest and forthright. I don't care how much you pay me. If I don't like you, I won't work with you. I have no idea how that comes across, but I've run into too many people who I have watched work with clients that just irritate them to no end. And they say to me, well, I can't let them go. They represent 40% of my annual revenue. Oh, wow. Okay, then we need to find some additional clients so that you can let that annoying one go. So if you reach out, we are going to have some conversations. I'm going to have some tasks for you to do before we ever even get to the point of talking about whether we are going to work together and whether, I want you as a client. And I'm not trying to be rude. I'm trying to set some realistic expectations. By all means, reach out. If we have a fit, we can work together. If you and I have no fit, one, clearly we will not work together, but I will also give you some advice about other people to whom you can turn that may be a better fit for you. Okie doke. Thank you. Have a great day. Good luck with visualizing, and I'll see you in the next video.